Hi everybody, my name is Abby and I am here because I have noticed an influx of people requesting how to tab their FAR aims, and I've realized that there's really not a lot of information out there that guides you on how to tab your FAR aim, besides just that little intro in the beginning of the book that for each respective certificate or rating kind of tells you what you should study. So I've decided to make a video to help you guys out and kind of maybe point you in the right direction, and just give you some hints and tips on tabbing your own FAR aim. So the reason behind why I'm doing this as well is I feel that flight training in itself is very isolating sometimes. You can feel very alone and you feel very overwhelmed, especially if you're just starting out. It's a lot of information and there's really not a whole ton of stuff out there to help you and to guide you along the way. And hopefully that is what I'm here to do, is help give back to the aviation community and maybe help you out just a little bit, and knowing that you're not alone and knowing that there is some things you can do from your home by watching videos, and you can do it on your own, like tabbing FAR aims. So a little bit about the FAR aim. This is one that I have done. I did for my instrument check ride. So it's got private pilot tabs as well as instrument tabs. This is a little bit of what it's going to look like when you're done. And of course, there are 100 different ways you could do this. 100 different colors, combinations. You could use a label maker, or you can just handwrite your tabs like I have. And the reason that I'm doing this video as well is the more confident you are going into your check ride, the more positive your experience is going to be, and the higher the outcome that you're going to pass. The more confident, the more organized you are, the better it's going to look. The DPE is going to be more impressed with you and what you're doing, and you're just going to be better off. You're going to have more confidence in yourself. So, and that is a huge thing in flight training, is confidence. You don't want to go in there with, your books not tabbed, or even books that are out of date. And I would like to put in here that I think new FAR aims come out around like September, October timeframe. So if you, and this is January 2021, so we don't really have to worry about it. But say, you're watching this video 8 months down the line and you're using a 2021 FAR aim, such as this one, and they've come out with the 2022, you're still okay to use your 2021, but you do need to go to the FAA website and print out the updates if there are any updates, and make sure that you have that list if you're going into a check ride. Little disclaimer here. I am not a certified flight instructor, although I am a certified advanced ground instructor. Anything I say in this video is not to be replaced by anything that your CFI or your school says or does. This is just to help you, give you an idea of how to kind of go into tabbing, or maybe an idea of what to tab when you're kind of just starting out and you're just at a loss and you don't really know what to do or where to start. So with the disclaimer out of the way, we're going to go more into a little bit of like why you want to tab your books. When you're going into a check ride, it is essentially closed book, but you are allowed to use your references if you need to. They ask you a question and you really don't know, but you know where to find it. You know that it's in the FAR aim, such as, aircraft inspections. You can't remember. You're nervous and you just can't remember what aircraft inspections need to be done for the flight today, for your check ride flight today. Well, you can have it tabbed in your book. Aircraft inspections, get kitty. Aircraft inspections, and then you just go right to it, and you can tell the DPE, and they will be a lot more impressed with you knowing that you knew where to find it and you had it tabbed. So that's one reason. Second reason, you just want to have more confidence. The more prepared you are and the more confident you are, it's gonna show off to the DPE. It's gonna come across to that DPE that you are prepared, that you know your stuff, and that you've been working hard, and that you're gonna do well, and you are prepared to be a safe, competent pilot. So that's some of the reasons why you want to go in with a tabbed FAR aim, and with the right ear, the right version, with the right ear. And like I said, if it's not the right year, make sure you have those updates printed out. So in the beginning of the FAR aim, there is a little section that is the suggested study list. Well, when I started doing this, I wasn't a big fan of their suggested study list because I didn't think it included a lot of really good info. And why go off of this when you have this other amazing document called the ACS, Airman Certification Standards, that literally is an open book for your check ride. Like, it is the playbook that the examiner is going to use for your check ride, for the oral portion as well as the flying portion. But everything they're going to ask you is going to be line by line here in the ACS. So if you are comfortable with every single item that is on each part that's applicable to you, and you know the reference to it, you've written down the reference to it, and you can say an intelligent blurb about each item, you're going to have no problem on your oral for your check rides. So what I have done is I have gone by the ACS for tabbing the FAR aim. So the first one we're going to start with is pilot qualifications on this side. And you can always add stuff, add your own tabs or add what is more applicable to you. But I overall have done a pretty comprehensive listing for private pilot. For anything that a private pilot might get asked on the oral that's in the FAR aim, I've actually tabbed out. So next we're going to talk about where to find a FAR aim. So if you're just kind of starting out, you might not even know what the FAR aim is, but it's pretty much rules and regulations from the FAA for everything aviation. And where you can get them from Amazon, you can get them from Sporties, you can get them from numerous online pilot shops, pilot supply shops, or you can even get them at your local flight school. I know the flight college here that I go to, they sell them in their bookstore. So you can also, I want to mention, you can also get a digital version of it, but if you're like me and you're watching this video, there's a pretty good chance you like paper books, just for the fact that you can dog ear, you can make notes, you can highlight. That's how I learn better, is through paper, everything. But if you want to do it digital, I'm not sure how to tab digital versions, so this video is just focusing on paper FAR aim. So for supplies, obviously you need your FAR aim. Next, you're going to need some tabs. So there are numerous combinations and colors of tabs out there. I prefer to use the plastic ones because in case it gets wet, and they're kind of easier to write on with a Sharpie. But you can use the paper tabs as well. I use Post-it or Avery, and also they've got some really cute, like, sparkly, different colored ones now. So now that you know the supplies and we know everything else, now let's get started actually tabbing the FAR aim. So what I like to do in the very beginning is I like to tab separate the books with the two tabs and make them a little bit different than other tabs you're going to use. So I'm going to use these two sparkly ones because they're a little bit more eye-catching, and it'll make it easier to distinguish between the FAR and the aim in the book. So we go and find the beginning of the FAR. Part 1, definitions and abbreviations. And just put your little sticky right on there like I did right there. So now we know where the FAR starts. And then you're going to do the same thing with the aim. Go right to where the aim starts. And you're going to put your tab right here on the very beginning of the aim. Okay. So now you have your FAR and your aim easily tabbed where they start. Okay. So next we're going to do the top parts. We're going to do this is how I do it. Now you can do it different, but like I said, the point of this video is just to kind of show you how I've done it, how I streamline it. The top tabs are going to be the wider tabs, and they're going to be for the parts for the aim, or the parts for the FAR, and then the chapters for the aim. So the first part that is applicable for private pilot is part 43, and it's preventative maintenance. So part 43, preventative maintenance, on a bigger tab, and then we just go and find part 43, the start of it. And there it is. Part 43. And take your tab, Part 43. And now I tab it so it kind of doesn't overlap the far. You kind of want to tab it over here so that you can still see it. That's what's great about these stickies too, is you can remove and replace them. You know, if you put it down, you want to move it a little bit over, they come right off and they don't rip the page off. So there you go. Now you have Part 43. The next one we're going to do at the top is Part 61, which is of course our certifications. And now on the far aim, they do make it so they have little on the side, they have the little shaded parts right here that differentiate the different parts and chapters. But I like to be able to see it and have it, you know, in my face so I know where to turn to it. So our next color and our next Part 61 certifications tab, we're just going to put it on the beginning of Part 61. So now your book should look like this. And you can see 61. Next we're going to do 91. On the top. 91 is flight rules. Now there are other parts in between like airspace, but it doesn't really go into a lot of detail. So that's why I don't tab the top to airspace, like the part 70 and 71, because I'm going to tab airspace later for in the aim. But now you have Part 91, and you have your 91 flight rules tab. And you do the same thing, you're just going to put it at the top. And now you have your 91 in there. Kind of hard to see because the far part is covering it, but now you have 91 in there. So that is how you're going to do that for that. So now 91, and then I just tab Part 830 for the reporting, and then you start tabbing the chapters for your aim the same exact way. So you flip to your aim. Chapter 1 is navigation. So I would just write out a big tab and write navigation and put the tab for the chapter for each aim, for each chapter of the aim. Pretty easy. So that's how I do the top. Now we're going to do the sides. So we're going to go to Part 43, preventative maintenance, and we're going to actually tab the applicable part in there that tells us what preventative maintenance we can actually do on our aircraft. And that is on page 23. Down there it's C, preventative maintenance. So all I'm going to do is take my small tabs now. So for the top, I was using the larger, longer tabs. Now I'm using the smaller, skinnier tabs. And I've wrote one out and it says maintenance allowed. MX is the abbreviation for maintenance. You can abbreviate it however you want, however makes it easier for you to read. But I have maintenance allowed. And I'm going to just tab it. Now, the trick to this is you don't want to just tab it where it's at, because then you're going to have a book that's kind of wonky with tabs all over the place, and it won't look quite as neat or streamlined. So what I do is take the very first one, because I'm going in order from front to back with the book, and then I'm going to put it on the very top. And I'll show you what that looks like. For the very top one, we have maintenance allowed. And now, to help you find out and to remember where it's at, because you're not looking at a big page of a whole bunch of words, you're going to highlight the applicable paragraph. So I have the tab saying maintenance allowed, and then highlighted the applicable paragraph, preventative maintenance. Now that's all there is for Part 43, pretty much. And like I said, if you want more stuff included or you want to tab other things, feel free to. This is just how I do it. So now the next part is certifications, 61. And if you go kind of with the ACS, it kind of matches up. The first line on your ACS. And I'm using the commercial ACS, but the first two parts here, pre-flight prep, A and B, actually match the private pilot ACS as well. These two parts match. So the first line is Part A, Pilot Qualifications. The first part is Certification Requirements. So that's going to be our first thing tabbed. And lo and behold, it's like the first real applicable thing in Part 61, 61.3, right here. So I have a tabs, cert requirements, right here on the small one. And now here's the tricky part. You kind of want to keep flipping back and forth to see where it lines up, because I like to just put them right in order so you can see each tab. So you don't want to cover them up too much if you can help it. I'll show you what I mean. Yeah. So I've tabbed it, put cert requirements, and then we're going to highlight it. Highlighted. And now when you shut the book, your prior tabs are not going to be covering the next tab down. You can still see it. So now we've got cert requirements. And now here's an example of when things kind of are out of order. If you go line by line in the ACS, your tabs won't be in absolute order. But this is just from my experience of doing it. I'll do medical certificates next. So in the ACS, it has recent flight experience. But since medical certificates come next in here, and I definitely tab medical certificates because it's hard to remember the ages and the durations for your medical certificates, that's why I tab medical next. So now we've got medical, which is 6123, and then I have my tab, MedCerts. And again, you can abbreviate it however you can remember it. The tabs don't give you a huge amount of room, and I don't like to write really tiny because then I can't read it. So that's why I write MedCerts. And then make sure, again, that you're not covering it up. So you don't want to put it, right there in the book because you won't see it. So you want to kind of keep measuring it down. Keep measuring down so it lines up kind of nice and streamlined like that, so you can be able to flip to the appropriate thing that you want to look at, and it won't be covered up by the one prior to it. So now you got medical certificates, and then we highlight it like so. Highlight. And then I also, for this one, I highlight the next table because that gives you the requirements and the duration. So the next page is the table that breaks down your medical certificates. So I highlight that too. So next we have logbooks, pilot logbooks. Recent flight experience is going to be right after it. So if you're following line by line in the ACS, that's kind of why I say it's out of order. But pilot logbooks is 6151 right here. Then we're going to do tab, pilot logs. And then we're going to just put it right under pilot logbooks. And then we're going to highlight it. There's the applicable tab, and there's a highlighted bit about pilot logbooks. And then if you close the book, you can still see each one. They're not overlapping. Okay. Pilot logbooks. And then next, 6157 is going to be, if we keep going right in order, is going to be recent flight experience. And so we used blue, so now we're going to use yellow. I'm going to do recent XP. Recent XP like that on a little yellow one. And you're going to tab it just like we've been doing. Now you have your tab, recent experience, highlighted. Shut the book, you can still see. And that's pretty much it. Then the next one I've got is 61113, private pilot limitations. Just kind of keep going in order like that for the applicable things. And that is pretty much how your FAR-AIM is going to be tabbed and how it will end up looking like this one when you're done. Just different colors. So I have a list, like I said earlier, that is just kind of tailored for private pilot. There's a lot more things you can add in here, but this is kind of just a good way to do it in order. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's been somewhat helpful to you. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, critiques, leave them in the comments. Also, if you are interested in buying a tabbed bar aim from yours truly, you can leave a comment down below, or you can reach me on Facebook, which I'll leave my Facebook link down there in the comments as well. Thanks so much for watching this video on how to tab your FAR aim. I appreciate any comments, concerns, questions you might have. Like I said before, just leave them below. Subscribe, like, and share my video if it's helped you or you think it might help somebody in the future.